This is Chat UTD and my response to the win at the Emirates Stadium in the FA Cup yesterday on penalties against Arsenal. When the draw was made and we got Arsenal away, I was like a kid that was told I wasn't going to get any presents for Christmas. It was like, what? Arsenal away? You could get Bromley, Tamworth, Dagenham and Redbridge, and we've got Arsenal away. What's the law of averages of that? And just thought, what's the point? Ain't going to get through. And I must say, by the end of yesterday, I felt the complete opposite, because one thing for certain is that if you play Bromley or Tamworth or Dagenham and Redbridge, you're unlikely to learn anything too positive about yourselves as a team against those clubs. Whereas I think Amrin, most importantly, but we as fans learn something about our team yesterday, and that's that in adversity they are able to respond. They need to do it more consistently. But make no bones about it, that was adversity yesterday. Being down to 10 men for an hour, there was a complete momentum shift in the game. Every decision was going against us. We dug in. They were stoic. They showed character. They showed passion. They showed desire to keep the ball out of the net. They showed togetherness and camaraderie. They really stuck together for the cause. And we've learnt something we wouldn't have learnt had we have played one of those minnows. So it's a day I felt very proud yesterday of the team, and that's really great, because I must say I don't feel like that very often about United these days. Let's go through the game and then an analysis of sorts, and then a look at individual players as well. The big difference for me yesterday in the first half, in particular, to the game at Anfield, was that we didn't control the game with possession. At Anfield, we controlled the game through the ball retention that we had, and through the progression that we had up the field and chances we made. And I thought we were probably a bit unlucky at Anfield not to go in front at half time. Yesterday, I didn't feel like there was much intent to play keep ball. I think Amrin matched Arsenal. I think he wanted it to be. I think he thought to himself, we know what they're like. If they want a scrap, we're going to give them a scrap. And it was good to see us engage in physical battles. We weren't cowering away. If there was a confrontation to be had, we were in there. If there was a tackle to be made, it was made aggressively, with physicality. And that's a stark difference to Newcastle over the Christmas period, when we got physically bullied. Arsenal, that's their bread and butter, physically trying to bully teams. Didn't do it against us yesterday. And I think that Amrin matched them, and I think he did it on purpose. So no, we didn't keep the ball brilliantly well, but in the first half, we limited Arsenal to next to nothing. We were comfortable. And I think the plan was always, then we're going to progressively try and get into the game and cause our own damage to Arsenal. And just like at Anfield, it wasn't long into the second half when we score a goal, and it was a superb goal. Brilliant play by Garnacho, and the finish from Fernandes is off the scale good. It bobbles up. His technique is ridiculous. It's just a superb. Okay, I always use that word. I need to find a different superlative. It was a phenomenal goal. It was a great finish. Brilliant. Love it. And at that point, we're in control of the game. We're 1-0 up. We've done the hard yards in the first half, and then there's a complete momentum shift because, for me, of a piece of lunacy from Diogo Dalot. Whether he's technically caught the man or not, you do not give a referee a decision to make in that situation. You're away from home, the refs give us nothing all game, you're on a booking, and you slide in recklessly. There's no VAR, so they can't check it. You're an experienced player. You just don't give the referee the decision to make. For me, it's a moment of absolute stupidity that could have really cost us the game. And that then led to a complete momentum shift. We're down to 10 men. A couple of minutes later, it's 1-1. Then they get the penalty. If they score that penalty, it goes to 3-4-1. We're getting mullered. So it's a huge moment in the game. And what a save, by the way. because it's right in the corner, and Bayenda's a big lad. It's such a big moment in the game, and I felt from that moment there was a coming together from our team. There was a collective, symbolic narrative of, you ain't going to beat us today. It's not happening. And we rode our luck a bit. They had their chances. The keeper made some good saves. They were quite wasteful at times. But the intent, the desire to keep that ball out of the back of the net, the togetherness, the spirit, the character, and that responding to adversity was great to see. And I actually think we posed quite a threat on the counter-attack. I think at times we looked pretty dangerous, but I was more impressed with just the way we defended our goal, and none more so than Matthijs de Ligt. That clearance off the line from under the bar is one of the best pieces of defending you'll see. It defied logic that he could do that. And then that moment where the camera, the slow-mo replay shows him in the net, and he's celebrating like it's a goal. Again, that character, spirit. You're not going to score against us. Would have been really easy for United to have gone, get to 10 minutes to go, probably going to concede a goal that goes to 2-1, maybe even 3-1, but our fans aren't going to give us a bad time about it. We've been down to 10 men, you clap them off, brave effort, out of the FA Cup, focus on the Europa League and the league. That would have been a really easy out for them, and they didn't take it. They dug in, and they fought tooth and nail to get through in that game. And I always say there's no hiding place on a football pitch. Not one of them hid. Every single one of them fronted up. I'm really, really proud of the way that we responded in that situation. Thought we did so much better on set pieces yesterday than when we played them. Was it in December time? I'll caveat that a little bit. I think in December, the main problems we were having was Rice taking corners from the left-hand side. Now, first of all, Rice didn't start yesterday, and even when he came on, a lot of the corners they won were on the right-hand side. They're attacking right. And if you remember, before Christmas, it was Saka that was taking them, and Saka wasn't playing yesterday. And Odegaard's delivery was good, but it's not as good as Saka's. So I'll caveat it slightly, but I still have to say we defended those set pieces very, very well. I'll come to penalties in a minute, because I'm just going to talk about some individuals, and I'll want to talk about them during the penalties as well. In terms of individual performances, the goalkeeper, Bayenda, but let's just call him Altai because I don't know how to say his second name, Altai. In the first half, his kicking was a liability, and he looked really nervous and edgy, and I thought, I don't know why I haven't just played Onana here. Everything changed with the penalty save. I mean, he's a big lad, and it felt like he'd grown 3 inches after that penalty save. Everything about him, his manner, his body language, looked different after that. And it was a hell of a save, because it's in the corner. But his command of his area got better. He made 2 really good saves from Declan Rice. The one along the floor was particularly good. I think the header that Rice had, he probably should have scored, to be fair. But it's still a good save. He did a bit of time wasting and a bit of the dark arts. I thought he did a bit of that really well. And obviously then he saved one in the penalty shootout as well. What a day for him. I'm sure it'll go back to being Onana back in net on Thursday. But the only decent number 2 goalkeeper I can remember over the last few years United having is Sergio Romero, where you felt you could rely on him. So it would be good to have one that we feel can come in, and it feels like he could be a bit of a cult hero after yesterday. So he was obviously the hero. Great stuff. I mentioned De Ligt before, but he was like prime Nemanja Vidic yesterday. It's just an absolute warrior. I really like De Ligt. My concern when we signed him was, could he stay fit, and that we're not getting him at the time when we wanted to get him. We're getting him 2 or 3. Well, where was he at? He was at Ajax. We wanted him, he went to Juventus. He was at Juventus, we wanted him, he went to Bayern Munich. And then he wasn't getting any Bayern Munich team, he comes to us. That was my concern with him. But he's got the exact right mentality to play for Man United. Epitomised by that clearance, but epitomised just in his performance yesterday. I thought it was a 10 out of 10 defensive performance. And Yeah, at times he can be a little bit reckless, like he was at Anfield when he flew in and Gakpo's turned him and scored. But you know what? I'll take that because I want someone who's got a desire to keep the ball out of the net, and he's an absolute warrior. And he was brilliant yesterday, as was Harry Maguire. I mean, it looks like we've got the Harry Maguire I thought we were signing 6 years ago. All those attributes he had then are now being accentuated by playing as part of the three because he's becoming indispensable. And I never thought I'd say that about Harry Maguire. Certainly not at his age now, with what he's been through since he's been at the club. He was excellent yesterday. Absolutely brilliant. Martinez, I mean, to play on a yellow card for as long as he did with his temperament in that atmosphere, with that referee, it took a lot of discipline and self-control. So fair play to him. And he wasn't being shy. He was getting stuck in as he always does. But I thought he controlled himself just right yesterday. Excellent from him. Ugarte, immense. Immense in the middle of the park. I was worried when he came off as to how we would cope. But that brings me to Collier, Toby Collier. He was brilliant. He put himself about. He was physical. He was strong. His pressing was good. He was decent when he got the ball. He looked confident. He didn't look lost or out of place yesterday at all. He's got to be getting more minutes for me. I've said this for the last few weeks. Put youngsters in there, and he was excellent. Just as a slight aside, I think it's quite telling that he came on and Casemiro and Eriksen didn't, and it does make me think. I think maybe what Amrim's starting to do now is siphon out the ones that he knows are not going to be with him, and he's trying. I think maybe creating a tight knit group of a limited number of players that are going to have that togetherness, that spirit, that camaraderie that they showed yesterday. Because it's quite telling he didn't bring Casemiro or Eriksen on, he brought Collier on, and it was the right call. Now, my concern when Ugarte came off, and I think Malacia came on, was that the midfield was left as Collier and Fernandes. But mentioning that tight-knit group, the specifics of who was playing where yesterday in extra time became less important because it was more about the narrative of the whole team, which was, thou shalt not pass. You're not going to score against us. You could play till 10 o'clock tonight and you're not scoring against us. We're not letting this happen. And every player, to a man, wherever they were asked to play, did the basics and the fundamentals and kept their discipline superbly well. And that, hopefully, is the basis of something. But I'm going to come back to that a bit later. But Collier was excellent. I thought Fernandes was really disciplined. Rasmus struggled. I mean, we need a focal point up front. We really do, because he really struggled in the first half to have any impact in the game, even holding the ball up and linking play and stuff. It wasn't happening. I thought he got better at that in the second half, actually, before he got brought off. And if your replacement is Xerxes, you know, we're very limited up front. Xerxes was neat and tidy yesterday. He did okay. But the bar's been set so low that, you know, yeah, he did okay. But we're going to struggle if he's the replacement to Højlund. So that's an ongoing concern, I think. Ahmad came on, and again, I just think he's a complete nuisance. He's a pest. He never stops running. He played like two men yesterday for me, because we were light, obviously, up front, because we were trying to pack the central area of the pitch and make sure we were condensed. But every time we broke away, he's doing the work of two people. Just what's not to like about him. So individually, lots of really good performances, I thought. Just going on to the penalties. Bender makes the save. Again, brilliant save. It's in the corner. Fantastic. But the penalties were just top draw penalties. Like Fernandes, ice cool, brilliant. Ahmad, no run up, just smashes it in the corner. Was it Martinez next? Martinez, defender. You wouldn't know it. Brilliant penalty. And I tell you what a pair of balls Lenny Yoro's got. What is he, 18, 19 years old? Only really just started getting minutes in the team. Didn't start the game yesterday. Who puts their hand up for a penalty? He does, and he bags. excellent, love it. And then I am pleased for Xerxes, mainly because, well, we won the game, but individually for him, you can imagine if he'd have missed. I mean, it would have been a bloody nightmare for him. So I'm not sure what the waving was about. Is he off somewhere? I've got strong conviction to say I don't think he's going to make it at United. It's not going to happen. But you don't want someone to go through a barrage of abuse, and I think he would have probably done by certain elements and subcultures within our fan base if he'd have missed yesterday in that penalty. So again, it takes a pair of balls to take a penalty at that stage, and I'm delighted that he obviously scored. And then the players get their reward, which is that they get their moments with the fans, where the fans appreciate them and they appreciate the fans, and that builds connections. That builds that relationship between the players and the fans. But what the fans need to see is that type of character, that type of camaraderie, those fundamentals, those basics are shown week after week after week after week. Now, the bigger picture at our club, as I mentioned on Friday, is it's a bit of a mess, really. We haven't got the money to do what we need to do. We're going to get caught in terms of we're only going to be able to go to a certain level with the finances that we've got. But what the team and Amram can do whilst all that's happening, if he can establish, going back to that tight-knit group, if he can establish that tight-knit group where they're all pulling in the same direction and they're all showing those fundamentals and those disciplines and those basics and those standards, if they're doing that week after week, and I'm not talking about winning every week, I'm talking about doing those basic things week after week consistently, it brings a togetherness between the squad, the coaching staff and the fans. And that's the most important thing at a football club. Sod the owners, sod what they're doing. It has to be us against the world. And us against the world can include your own owners, because that's what it's been like for the last 20 years with the Glazers anyway. They're not with us. They're not for us. They're not trying to help Man United achieve things. So I think we have to try and build that mentality. But to do that, the fans have to trust the players. So the players have to do so much more consistently than what they've done. And I'm sceptical as to whether they can do it or not. Bruno said it again at the end of the game yesterday. We've got Southampton on Thursday. And he said he had no worries about Liverpool, no worries about Arsenal. It's Southampton. That's the game that you've got to look at. And then it's Brighton, and then it's Rangers. And again, we're not going to win every game, but we want to see that same sort of application. And it'll look different depending on who we're playing against. Against Liverpool, as I said, we had loads of possession. We went and actually tried to play and go toe-to-toe with them. Yesterday against Arsenal, it was a rearguard action, and they did it brilliantly well because it was required to do it that way. So there's nothing wrong with being able to do things differently against different opposition, but the fundamentals, those basics, and those principles and those standards, they have to be there whoever you're playing, and that's what we've not had. So the team have got to go and prove that they can do that, and I hope they do, because there's no doubt that I can identify with that. So we're in the fourth round. Leicester at home, another Premier League team, but at least we're at home. And we beat Leicester in the league, and we beat them in the Carabao Cup at home, so we should get through. I don't necessarily think the FA Cup's a massive priority for United this season, because the Europa League really is quite winnable, and if we win it, we get in the Champions League. Now, we're not really ready to be in the Champions League, but still, it's still an important competition to go and try and win, and I think it's very winnable. And you've got the league, but am I gonna shun the FA Cup? Of course I'm not. I love the FA Cup. So if we're in the next round and we've got a decent draw, brilliant. And let's see if we can take it a bit further. And let's see what we learn about the team in the next round. So the order of the day for United is consistency. But I have to say, yesterday they were brilliant, and I felt very proud of them. So well done, boys. Glazers out.